talk it like it is, and really define and redefine and really tell people like sex is from God. God is the one who gave us. Yeah. It's a gift. So it's a good thing.
Enjoy without limits.
No. Don't jump directly to that.
Okay, no. I'm just asking. And let me hold.
Yeah. And everything that God has given us, He gives us a pattern, right, a principle on how that thing needs to be handled.
And I'm thinking the principles that that God would give us then are the principles that are incorporated in the good books of whichever form of religion that we're talking about. And might you'll agree with me that you do not speak to Christians only. Yes. You as well speak to Muslims, and they have a way of handling this question of sex and marriage and all that. You speak maybe to Hindus, and they will tell you, well, we do not let our girls to go out there and engage before they are officially married, and numerous other sects of religion. I have personally watched a documentary, Sex and the Church, speaks to the question of Christianity, how it has shaped the Western attitudes to sex, the aspect of gender and sexuality throughout history. And largely we will agree to a large extent that in as much as this is ordained by God, that this is God-given, we have had the church, we have had the religious factors coming in to play anytime we're thinking about engaging, anytime we're thinking about sex, marriage, and how we conduct ourselves in this very delicate space. What's your view about sex and church?
Linda, this is a very interesting topic, and I love it because we're not talking about it. We are just giving ambiguous ideology to the young people. We're Gojea. And at the same time, the church molds us, as we call the church, as my brother have defined it. And also society molds us. Westernization molds us. The media is molding us. So kijana na baki pale ako confused.
Yeah.
What is this concept of sex and the church? I still want to be in the church. I still want to serve God. I still want to say praise God. I still want to be a good Muslim follower.
Yeah.
But I still have emotions and feelings, which emotions have been provoked by what is surrounding me.
Right.
So what maybe the challenge within today's, the 21st century, is not addressing what is surrounding these two concepts, sex and the church. So much is surrounding the church and so much is surrounding the sex. And I'm part of, in fact, sex is to be enjoyed. It's the only thing during creation of God that we are helping God to do. Kila kitu iliumbwa na Mungu.
Right.
Lakini akatuambia kuna kitu moja mtanisaidia kufanya.
Kuongeza.
To procreate. Na itakuja through osmosis.
Lazima
itakuja through sex.
Okay.
And the same kids, my child is reading this in school.
Right.
Is reading the social media. So then my pastor comes and tells my daughter about sex, you wait and this. But the society is speaking differently. The social media is speaking differently. So the confusion comes in. And that's why this topic, Linda, is so powerful. Because we need to look what is surrounding sex and what is surrounding the church. And the definition of the church today might not be in our parents' time. Our parents' time, there was sex and there was church. There are some who believed in Mount Kenya, some believed in lake and everything. There's some who believed that you need to wait. There's some even who could be brought somebody. This is your partner. I don't know whether there were emotions by that time, but there was a concept of discipline. But today, what the education that we're getting from different quarters changed our mindset. So our mindset need to be defined very well, need to be formed very well for us to go back somewhere. For example, media will even change the dressing code and put a Windows XP as ladies.
Right.
But I saw a photo of my mom with a Windows XP. Then, but then, and it was not a big issue. Today, Linda, my friend, we put a Windows XP in the church.
That's true. But why are
so it's related with the sex.
Yeah.
Who said it's related with sex?
Okay.
So some education process, kuna vitu zinatuchanganisha mind. Because it's all about our mind.
It's all about our mind.
It's about our mind.
I remember my dad telling me that some of these things that we were told then, maybe it's because the way, over time, societies were evolving, and, there are instances where you'd be told, usikule this part of nyama because it's for the man, and if you do, you will die the next day. All these things were just, myths that were really engraved in us and trusted. Do you think that is the greatest undoing today? Perhaps just to limit the children from engaging, because we also understand the dangers that come along with that. That today, if you engage anyhowly, you could left, right, and center get babies for different men. Then what? So maybe this came in not because, generally we're supposed to hold ourselves until maybe a point of marriage, but perhaps to just curb the, the dangers that came along with sex.
So I first of all, I want to agree with my brother Mike that I think the minds of people have been shaped, and we can say they are being shaped based on what is happening. There's a lot of information, and some things are inevitable because transformation and changing the era of information. We have so many information informing people, and that can be dangerous. Now, one thing I want to say that there's some values, there's some ancient wisdom that cannot be changed. We need to still hold on to them.
Yeah.
We need to go back to values, and we need to elaborate and tell people, why is this necessary? Not just telling them. For example, you're saying that, not just explaining, for example, to a young person that abstain until marriage. They need to hear more because we have social media, we have all and abstinage. So they need more information. Where there is a lack of revelation, people perish.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to say is that if the purpose of a thing is not well defined, and the principle that surrounds it, or the pattern, or the blueprint in how to use something. I refer back to the gadget. If you don't know how to use this gadget, the manufacturer gives you the manual to explain to you, okay, this is how you are supposed to use this gadget. When you press this button, it will go off. When you do this, this is how to operate it. Now, it becomes so easier because that is the purpose of that gadget. But if you don't have that information on how to use this gadget, or the manual that explains how to use this gadget, misuse is inevitable. So when I refer to sex, the church needs now to come and define and tell us, because this is a gift from God. And what is the purpose of it? Because we need to define the purpose, and we need to explain to every young person what is the purpose is reprocreation. The purpose is God created sex for us to enjoy, like Mike has said. Yeah, it is for us to enjoy, it is for us to procreate. But there is some principle and values in which God has already told us through the manual.
Yeah.
There is a manual that he has told us this is how you're supposed to do it. And if you misuse it, if you use it otherwise, it becomes destructive.
I presume the manual is in the Bible, and when we're talking about the church, then we're talking about Christianity. So why do you suppose that Christianity has turned this whole sex affair as though it's dangerous, for it to look as, to look dangerous and as well shameful advice? Linda,
even you said something, the interpretation of this manual matters a lot. You even talked about myth and everything.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, by that time, they were working. By that time, it was not something that is just in vain. A child could be told, don't sit on the grinding stone.
Yeah.
If you sit on the grinding stone, your mother will die. They had a meaning of it. Because by that time, hakukuwa na diapers, hakukuwa na everything. It was a hygiene concept of educating them. And it was necessary by that time. And they could not sit on the grinding stone because akikaa mama yake atakufa. Na grinding stone ndio tunasiaga. So akikalia sile the waste will be on the food. So it was a way of communication by that time.
Right.
Today we are more advanced and we are not interpreting this manual. Kila mtu ana interpret in his own way. Na kila mtu, kuna mtu atatokea akondem. Kuna mtu atatokea akombine ile old version na ambie vijana ambaye wamesoma. Enda kwa vijana tunaambia sex na abstain na everything. Si ati wajui. Si ati manual wajui. Si ati waelewi, wameambiwa. There are even consequences of even doing before.
Yeah.
There are things you'll go through.
Right.
But I think we need to be proactive in looking the deep thing. We need to be proactive, and I talk as the mentors, as our pastors, our mom. We need to be proactive the way we were taught when we are small to start now interpreting, encapsulating that old knowledge with the today's 21st century and see what approach to the youth today. Because unaenda kuambia story ya sex, wanakuambia hata story unashangaa. To your class 2. Wanajua hata zaidi. Why? Because something have dominated more. The peer influence, the media influence have dominated more than the parental influence, the pastor and priest influence. So if we look it literally, table the things the way they are, it is like this and this. Today you can't tell the child the way we are told. Mtoto anatoka wapi, nilimonunua. You can't. Hata kuchallenge my friend. Lakini sisi tuliambiwa hivyo.
Yes.
Na tukabelieve. Yeah. Na tukakam kubelieve in that concept. Today anakuambia my friend. Anakuambia mpaka story unashangaa. So I think what there is the education, and the education is not the ministry. Right. The education is not the curriculum. The education is the life curriculum.
Right.
Me as a parent, what's the life curriculum? What approach do I start? How do we team up as parents and start addressing this? Not leaving to the pastor to start defining for us. And the priest, there are some who will define differently. But we need to listen to them as they look, they elaborate the principles they have talked about, to elaborate these things. So there is a lot that is needed for us.
Do you think this mandate has been robbed off from the church, like you rightfully put it, that out here information is there, left, right, and center, and therefore even those moments where you would sit down in church and your spiritual guardians would walk you through this journey and tell you this and that and everything, this is completely out of...
Atubongi, kwa chache hata utaki kuongea story. Mimi ni mzai wa 1940 na ni pastor. Na mtoi kijana hapa hivi hot ameuliza swali. Naanza kubit around the bush na waambia the commandment. God alisema wait until marriage. But you're not telling us the methodology, the approach. You're not even elaborating to this young person the mindset, and even try to understand the child from what angle the child is coming from. For what knowledge amekuwa exposed aje.
Right.
Ndio nikishajua hivyo sitaanza ku cover up issue. And that's why imeenda out completely. That's why wameenda ku Google. That's why imekuwa, because bottom line, sex is good.
Okay.
Sex is
interesting.
No option about it.
Let's come back to you, Paul, and acknowledge what it is that he says. Yes. And so, just looking at the fact that you say that even the church itself today is scared of speaking to, to these matters, because then they were speaking to a generation that did not, have information, was out of touch. But today, you are speaking to a generation that is bold enough to challenge you, to remind you that this is what I saw, this is what I watched, this is what I read, and challenge you. So they get to a space where there's so much fear in addressing some of this matter. And so do you suppose the church, in as much as the children of today, the society is liberal, the church then is deeply entrenched in their own, traditions and customs of back then, such that they're completely out of touch with the modern society? And what of a danger is that?
So I think one thing I have to agree and is that the church needs to come out from burying their heads in the sand. And we need to have these conversations, because the fact is there's a lot of information. As little as a child, class 4, grade 2, knows a lot about sex, from social media, from peers and all that. So I think it's a responsibility of the church now to start this conversation. And the church to be very legit and very real on this conversation and explain to the young generation the concept of sex and what God says about sex. And apart from the church, I also think it has to come from also the family level. That's why I want to define a church beyond a denomination, because a denomination is just basically a school of thoughts, and it has been a change. If you read church history, it has been a progressive change of ideology, forming so many denominations. So we need to define a church beyond a denomination and narrow down to individuals what is a belief system and who defines your belief system, and how is it beneficial, and how your explanation, how is it beneficial to that young person. So it is beyond the church, and it narrows down also to the parents, the family. Now if you look at in our cultures, back then, before civilization came to Africa, you could see young mothers taking the young girls, you see the young fathers taking the young boys, and in the course of life, trying to explain to them, prepare them for marriage and all that. And people used to wait. People used to be prepared early for marriage. So I think we need, beyond the church needs to be very, very much, the voice of the church needs to be heard for the young people. But beyond the church, the family or the parents or the guardian need also to start being closer to the young generation and start speaking about sex and the values. As I said, there are values and ancient wisdom that we cannot change. No matter how much we evolve, no matter how much information comes, there are principles that God has given us. Yeah, He gave us sex. It's a good thing for enjoyment and procreation, but He has given us guideline. And we can see the destruction happening in the world, the perverseness in people's mind, because there is a connection between the mind and sex. Yeah, the mind is a powerful tool. So many information has been fed in the young people. So we need like to give them the correct information, the right information. Why is it destructive outside marriage? Why is it destructive when you have mpango wa kando? It is very destructive.
Do you think these people don't know?
We need to have this conversation over and over and over.
You know that when you are having this activity away from your, extra, you know, like you're rightfully putting it, you have a wife, but then you're doing it away from home and with somebody else. Why is it that you hide if you do not have proper understanding? You know, the dangers that allow us to take a short break, my and then come back on that very note. It's about sex and the church, so don't you go anywhere.
Stories. Looking for a college that will impact your practical skill sets? Trisent School of Medical Health and Science Technology offers market-driven programs in diploma and certificate levels in the schools of health sciences, social sciences, applied sciences, and business and informatics. Enroll for our January 2023 intake to enjoy seamless student experience. You deserve qualified faculty leadership to set a good guide for your career. Trisent School of Medical Health and Science Technology, partners in your journey to excellence.
This February, the month of love, the Realtor will be celebrating women in real estate industry, and they shall be telling us how they have been able to overcome the hindrances, the barriers, and also to survive in an industry that is perceived to be dominated by men. It's every Tuesday at 8:30 p.m.
You are watching TV47, the home of untold stories.
Paul, we're back, and it's quite, not steamy, it's quite an interesting conversation. Let me use the word interesting because it's the closest. Every time I use that word, I think on a daily basis, conversation to have. Interesting in whichever way you want to look at it, in a bad way or in a good way. What we have to acknowledge is that largely the church has contributed to how most of the people that believe in the church have led their life, their sex life for that matter. And we also understand, and it's clear in black and white, like we say, information is out here, probably beyond what you have gotten from the church, that, this is sex, and when you engage, you enjoy to this level it's dangerous, to this level it's below par, and I mean, whichever way people look at sex. Crucial matters that are coming here. Mike, you had something to say before I come up with the next question.
Linda, like Paul have said about the church taking part and also the parents and everything. I think these are collective things. These are collective things. The education system that we have in our country, in Africa, in the whole world. Like the Minister of Education is doing, during our time, they could teach us so many things. There's a clip that is moving out with a certain policeman telling the kids, these are my private parts, these are my private parts. Nobody should touch them. Now that police is saying, anybody who touch, come and tell me. I'll put that confidential and everything. Then this child come and watch some programs within whatever media or social media and everything and see the private part has been touched. Or me, irresponsible father, I'm touching my wife, the private part, which the child was not to touch. So even confuse the child. And as the child, Eric Erickson talks about growth, developmental stages. As the child grow, also your sexual feelings grow.
Yeah.
And now there was a knowledge of these are my private parts, nobody should touch them. And there's nowhere you are told now you can start touching.
At what point?
At what point?
Okay, at what stage in
At
life?
what stage do you start now touching?
Okay.
But you are taught.
Yeah.
And it's powerful.
Are we not told? I mean, we talk about the consent, age of consent in this country. Okay, maybe most of the people are not privy to this information.
Tuliambia hizo story, uliambiwa when to start touching.
Hakuna mtu atali.
Hata pastor wasemi wanatia zi.
Walisema labda ulikuwa unangojea 18,
and that's why unakuta
shule.
now when it comes to family therapy,
Yeah.
there's some people who are coming romance concept and you try to touch somewhere. To me is romance based on how I was brought up. To you is not romance.
Yeah.
To you, ni gani hizo naleta.
Yeah.
Unaona? Because there was a knowledge that was installed in this person. So I think we need to come, parents, to be part of it, all of us, the media, everybody to be part of it and look at it. Because apart from the child I have, maybe nimeenda pahali, na niko na mpango na niko na whatever, and I'm doing some parts, holding some parts or doing some things, and there's a child, might not be my blood child, but pale niko kuna mtoi. So I'm installing a knowledge in that child. And that child happened to school with my daughter, so the daughter will get the knowledge from these, and kumbe it came from the father.
Yeah.
So this is a collective thing.
Yes.
The behavior pattern outside there need to be watched,
Right.
need to be nurtured.
Right.
We need to look about at what time. Linda, I've met you, I want to marry you, now come to marriage therapy, and you have a child. At what time do you introduce me to your child? Because labda tutakaa miaka mbili, tukosane. So huyo mtoto introduce another father.
It becomes bad again.
It becomes bad.
Yes.
So at what time do I now start nurturing you with your daughter, because you got a child.
Yeah.
You got a child. Ndakuja what time? I need to be very sensitive, because if I'm not sensitive, utani-introduce, tukosane, Paul akuja mu-introduce, umechanganisha ule mtoi. And then you're talking about sex. And you're talking about... Then the economy of our country. Some of us are living in a single room, only curtain dividing us. And some will be forced to exercise our conjugal duties. How do we manage that? And we have children. If you have children down there, then it's different. There's a story that there was a class 5 child. And this class 5 child was telling the mom, "Mom, please don't leave me. Don't leave me, please don't leave me." And the child was asking why. And the mother was asking, why is this child saying like that? And he continued saying like that, wait until I clear class 8, then you can leave me.
Yeah.
And it's just how knowledge, how words can spoil a child.
Yeah.
So one day the mom decided to take the child out in a day about castle and everything, and enjoyed. Then he could now tip this boy.
Yeah.
Why do you say I don't leave you? Because when Uncle George comes, I hear you say, "Oh my God, I'm coming." So the child knows he's going to God.
Okay.
So how economical status? Very important thing.
Very important.
Tutaignore hizi vitu na ziko, my friend.
Ziko.
Because wengine hatuko self-contained, hatuko hivi na hivi. So if I know my status, how I am financially, how I should be very careful to the child. Very.
Do you think we should depend so much on what the good book says, or what religion teaches us as to the question of sex? Because we acknowledge that to a large extent there's some teaching that is there, but equally they do not get to the nitty-gritty details that are very, very important. So when you are out there, or individually, or just that desire for knowledge, individual desire for knowledge, do you depend on the church alone, or you just cast your net wide for proper understanding, so that we also do not get ourselves into trouble? And I mean, we have seen evident trouble that is caused by this act that we all call so sweet.
Yeah. So I think the church is a solution. At the end of the day, no matter where you try or whatever, the good book defines it very well. I have to say it confidently. The good book is the one that has given us this solution. So I want to address two things, whatever Mike has said. One, the reason why I involve the parents in this is because when you train up a child in the way that he should go, he can never depart from that way. And this is the way. You cannot tell a child that don't do this, and you yourself, you're doing it. You see?
Or your friend is doing.
Your friend is doing it.
Is your parent to
Yes,
that child.
exactly.
Yeah, so it's beyond speaking out. It's beyond a conversation. It's a life that you lead, that your child see. Hawezi kuwa unavuta sigara alafu unaambia mtoto wako, unazima kwanza unamwambia sigara ni mbaya, unasikia? And then you continue. The child will see what you are doing.
Ama pombe ni mbaya na iko pale kwa display.
Na uko na chupa zote za pombe hapo.
Ziko hapo.
So it's a place of start reflecting as a parent, because the kid spends most time with the parents, not even the church. Spends most time with the parents. He sees what the parents does. He sees the marriage of a parent, like anasema like squeezy the economical issues, anaishi kwa room moja na vitu kama hizo. Now marriage is a honorable thing. So if you present to a child marriage as a honorable thing, that child will admire marriage. So if you tell that child that please abstain from sex until marriage, and you're presenting something that is an environment that is so good, that is admirable, and you're leading a life that is an example to that child will be inspired. There is a force, there is an inspiration that will come out of that child, and it should be so easy to abstain. The second thing I want to address is about the knowledge. Knowledge puffs up. Not every knowledge is constructive.
Absolutely.
Knowledge creates a vision. Anything you see, you hear, it creates a vision. And we have so many knowledge about sex. A lot of knowledge at our disposal, at the disposal of our kids, at the disposal of the young people. And every knowledge you consume creates a vision. And most knowledge have created a corrupted vision, a fallen vision about sex. And most of it, you will find that it is outside the original plan of God. So it's beyond just knowledge, it's a heart issue. It's a heart issue. So the good book that we are talking about, it solves the issues of the heart. Sex is beyond a physical act. Sex is beyond an act of kissing, caressing, and just body contacts and all that. It's beyond that.
Yeah.
It's something deeper than that. It's something that we need now to give the correct knowledge so that it can solve a heart issue. Because any other knowledge that comes to any other person, it creates a visual, it creates a corrupted vision. And once you have a vision on something, the mind is a powerful tool. As a man thinketh, so is he.
That's true.
Whatever you think, you become that thing. So whatever knowledge you consume, it creates a vision in your mind, and you automatically behave as whatever knowledge you have gaining. So the good book needs the role of the church now. It needs now to get deeper into the original revelation. What was God's original plan and blueprint in giving us sex?
Has the church failed in doing that? Maybe we have somehow alluded to that. The good book says the husband should give to his wife her conjugal rights, and likewise the wife to her husband, for the wife does not have authority over her own body, but the husband does. Likewise, the husband does not have authority over his own body, but the wife does. Majmach, you speak to couples, right? To wives, maybe at some point in time you've had the privilege of doing that. It is not happening today. Most of them will tell you we're going out because we're not getting it at home.
In fact, in my mind, because tunaongea mambo ya vijana, sex on the church.
Yes.
It's the same even with the marriage.
Right.
They're having sex, but what type of sex? What type of knowledge is? How is their mindset?
Yeah.
So tukisema vijana wamepotea, sisi tulipotea kitambo. Because the knowledge that we're getting and the concept of the sex, the saloon methodology of our wives.
Yes.
Jana kulikuwa, you bring that methodology to me, which is not applicable. You bring that format to me, which is not applicable. You have not gotten the autonomy me. Who is me? And then I get, and that's why even marriage unakuta zinaenda nje, because of the knowledge. The signals that are coming, this package a mindset. When they package a mindset, then you start now defining sex as a person And I'm a Christian, and I go to church, and I know it's this and this and this. But my mind of defining it is totally different. Somebody define it as romance. Somebody define it, and that's why I agree with him also how we are going to interpret the good book. We need to interpret it differently. Because even you look at the good book, it was being interpreted by that time. They could say somewhere in my good book that Sunday you should not do this and this, you should not work and this and this and this. And then somebody that I believe in called Jesus Christ came and said, will you leave the donkey there and go to church? So they used to interpret by that time. Yeah. Then this person comes and try to help them to interpret it differently more. So even today, we need to try to inculturate the society, the social analysis with a good book. Look, the behavior pattern today with a big book. Because the principles remain. It is that. But definition or interpretation matters a lot. And I think, based to your question, the church have failed, parents have failed, the country have failed. These are conversations that need to be practical. These are conversations that need to be brought outside. And that's why you find, if you start topics based on things surrounding sex, in a heat, go to some of the culture, we have people going for fun, for dancing and everything. There is in one community a dancing called Mogidi. They will go for that Mogidi that will touch to things based on sex. That's around. They will flock there because they want to hear, they want to mention some things that have been put, they are taboo to mention them. So even the church don't want to talk about it. Even the parents don't want to talk about it. The community, the country as a whole, the government, it's the high time to speak about it and face it on the head.
Right.
It is like this and this, because Linda, I agree with you. Not about the youth. Tujiangalie sisi wenyewe kwanza. Si wenyewe sex and the church. Tunapreachwa every day. Na mika dem naangalia pastor naangalia handsome. Na saa wangu. Na niko kwa church bado. Na ule pastor pia amepreach historia hiyo. Lakini after imetoka hapo, story iliisha. Mindset have been set differently.
Yeah.
So as the church do something, and I love the church might not be that structure. It's a group, individual coming together. We need to develop a dialogue within small cells and develop try to work out on a certain culture based on this. Because marriage is dying completely. It's already there.
Right.
There are those which is working, but it's dying based on surrounding issues surrounding sex. If you look, many cases of divorce, trust me, utakuta ziko surrounding sex. Even my beautiful Catholic church believe that there's something called infidelity. That's when they can think about divorce can be, it's based on what?
Can be
the sex.
Justified.
So, sex is not something to ignore.
Yeah.
It's
not something to ignore.
And the truth will always be the truth.
Right.
I think we need to speak the truth as it is. When we say that sex before marriage is destructive, and there are so many examples, you can give examples. That is the truth. It will remain to be the truth. Now look at the conversation now. We are dealing with a very big problem of homosexuality. You see?
Yeah.
And many young people are coming out to say that this is how I was wired too. How can you even do that? You see, now we need to speak the truth because let me give you an example. If animals know kuku inajua, jogoo inajua nini mkike.
Wera, inaitwa wera. Okay.
Jogoo inajua kike. Mbwa inajua kutafuta jike mwenzake. Now, are you seeing there's a perverseness in the mind of people for a man to come one day and say, from today, I am only attracted to a man. There's some information, that's what I'm talking about, the information. There's an information that is perverse, that has entered that man, that has created a vision, and has entered into the heart of that man.
Yeah.
And now that man thinks that he can only be attracted to another fellow man. A lady thinks they can be attracted to a fellow man. That's why God says that it reaches somewhere that they have hardened their heart and God gave them into their affection. That is God giving them into their affection.
And they're calling that sex, and it's not sex.
It is not sex.
It's not sex.
So we need to need to speak the truth.
Okay.
We need to speak the truth. We need to, the truth will always remain the truth, and the church need to be vocal and show the way. tell us now, this is what God is saying.
Wait a minute.
This is what the good book says.
And Mike, a very important point, and what he brings on board, very, very important twist to this conversation, that that is not sex in the first place, that these people have acknowledged this. I might need to remind us that we have seen, and perhaps sometimes people, new things crop up, and we always wait to see what the church will say, so that then we can proceed to say, okay, fine, this is accepted, this is not accepted. For instance, we have seen same-sex marriage ordained in church, interestingly, and for the longest of time, it was very difficult to accept for this to happen. But if you look at the books today, even our children are being taught of the different types of families, blended families, that is now clearly being accepted. And equally, there's that aspect where, same-sex, or same marriage or same-sex marriage or something of that nature, and there's a family, and now these two are adopting a child, and they set up a family. They are in our books today, perhaps acknowledged at that point where there was marriage that was ordained of, people who are of the same sex. So therein we get confused. And you have started by telling us it's important that the church has these conversations because it's a reality on ground. So how do we create a balance in this so that we do not blame the church for, accepting for this to happen in society, but at the same time, we do not condemn these things that are happening in reality?
But Linda, those who are doing at two guys doing the wedding, also we are putting now kubatiza at church ili kubali.
Sasa tuseme wao walifanyiwa tu huko nje.
No,
okay, sawa.
Ni church hata hiyo.
Okay.
Ni church hata hiyo.
Yes.
And that's why there is a lot of knowledge outside there.
Yeah.
That's why church now, the church...
Again, it's not church.
It may lose meaning.
Okay.
You cannot define a church
Because
like
when you look,
an institution.
and that's why even,
Yeah.
I remember when the leader of the church, Catholic Church, Pope, mentioned something that you should not throw those people away and everything. People even misunderstand what it means.
Yes.
It's to look the soul of that
Like
person,
yeah.
that how you can change and everything. So church zimetokea mingi. Na zina confuse hata vijana today. Class 2 book ya education
Iko nayo.
still remain nuclear families, father, mother and...
Hapana, umeangalia latest. Nitakutumia kapicha hapo.
That principle
Yes.
inabaki, lakini sasa kuna vitu zingine zinachanganisha.
Right.
Because inakutamini niko single father, niko single mother. We need to address that. But hii watu wanakuwa ordained by the church. Kuna vitu mazee Linda hata tuongeaje, mimi siwezi kubaliana nayo mimi.
Okay.
Sex ni ya watu wawili, a man and a female. And a man and a man, utaanza principles zile za God zinabaki. A man and a man, hakuna mtoto atatokea.
Okay.
Ni kweli. A woman and a woman, hakuna mtoto atatokea. And sex is meant to help God in adding people in
God
this world.
created Adam and
Creation.
Eve.
Ndio God alicreate Adam and Eve.
Not Adam and Adam.
That is
Si
one
Adam na Adam.
thing.
Hakuna Adam na Adam hapa hivi. Kwa hivyo vitu zingine ndio fala tu. Hata tubishane huko. Kuna principle ya God na ita change.
Then came
And
Sodoma
the
and Gomorrah. Don't you think that was the doing of God?
why is it condemned?
No, they say there is nothing new under the sun.
Yeah.
There is nothing, everything that you are seeing here,
Yeah.
there is nothing new. It once happened. So the problem is humanity. And the problem is the knowledge that you are consuming and you are adapting in ourselves. So apart from even homosexuality, let us talk about failed marriages and divorces that are so much rampant in our days. What is the cause of that? It is the casualty that you have taken on sex. Every young person, in fact, sahi, ukienda kwa vijana, like if you're not doing sex right now as a young person, wanakuona like you have a problem. Are you seeing the mindset? Like there's something wrong with you.
Uko na mtoi wako, bring up vizuri kwa the church and everything.
Yeah.
Anafika form 1, hauna ka boyfriend aje.
How?
Unaona you're the only outcast.
Yeah.
Because it may change the whole thing.
Yeah.
Mumwambia sex before marriage is this, na ameobey na everything. Anafika form 1. Anaenda shule X. Ile shule X iko na wazimu ya Nyeri, wazimu ya Kisumu, wazimu ya Murang'a, wazimu ya Mombasa, wanakuja pale. Now they form another culture. Mbeleni ulikuwa na parental culture na ile shule ulisomea primary school ni around that area. Na around that area mnaenda church nyinyi wote. So it's a certain culture. Si ni kweli? Secondary school imeenda shule ambaye ni national. Imeleta all this culture. Unaambia mazee kwetu by 6 lazima uko umefika kwa hao. And this. Mazee unakuta huyu saa 3 watatu kama wanne, hata saa 3 madhaki hawaulizi, hata saa 4 wakileta friend hawaulizi. Unaona you're the old one out. Unaanza sasa ku develop something called devious behavior.
I'm just curious to ask this. Let me ask you this. Peer influence. Why is it that this peer influence is not, you know, influencing people towards the right direction? That most of the times yes, it's the negative that we tend to adapt to very fast than the positives. Because remember, we're talking about people who are coming from different setups, and you know, there's one that comes from a very proper setup, another one from a setup that appears not to be proper. Why is it that it's easy to sway this one to this other side as opposed to the other way?
I think what we need to emphasize more is the truth.
Yeah.
There's something I say. The truth or the right thing will always remain the right thing.
Okay.
Even if no one is doing it. And the wrong thing will always be the wrong thing, even if everyone is doing it. We need to start molding and teaching young people to be different and telling them to be unique and different. It's a good thing. If you are a virgin, be proud of that. Don't fear. It's a good thing because there is some effects on that. Another thing I have come to realize is experience is not the best teacher.
Oh, okay.
Experience is never the best teacher. Experience is never the best teacher because it can be a good teacher because experience gives you the lessons later. Yeah, but you get the repercussions first and gives you the lessons later.
Yeah.
So I believe what is happening in our peer influences is about people want to experiment. Yeah, because now you are told like, hey, I've done it. Like most of your peers, hey, try this thing. You go to campus, everyone is doing it. So you want also to experiment. Okay, you have done it and there is no effect. So we need to tell the people the truth. You do this thing, let me tell you, it will affect you in marriage, and it is the truth. You can never have a successful marriage if you take sex casually and if you don't honor this institution of marriage because it is ordained of God. So we need to tell people the repercussions first, not for them to experiment and learn the lessons later. So we need to teach them the truth. This is the truth.
Okay.
The reason why we have divorces, the reason why we have marriages is because of mistrusts. And the reason is you have taken sex casually and you have not honored it as it's supposed to be honored.
Gentlemen, we have to close much in 2 minutes. I don't know what are the best of standards and you know in whose truth meter, but here we are.
Linda, acha nikwambie, sijui mani dakika mbili. One thing, I was working in Nairobi University and I was in the pastoral with Father Kanja, and we could tell and give the truth and this and this and this. And they come with their own mindset. And this girl met me St. Paul there. And we said, hey, niko huku, nini. We met in one of the schools that we've gone. And said, I'm so proud, I'm happy, I'm doing BCom, this and this and this. And it's 1 week after orientation. And this girl tells me, mate, guess what, I've fallen in love. And this is only 1 week after orientation. You'll fall in love 2 weeks hapo hivyo. You fall in love. Nikajiambia kwa roho, wewe umefall in love. After falling you'll wake up. Lakini nikanyamaza tu. Unajua unamsikiza kwanza. Nikamsikiza, there's this guy who understands me. This guy is wow. This guy understands me. Baba yangu na mama yangu 50 years wajaelewana. But this guy understands me.
Heart, yes.
And this and this and this. And there is a synergy between me and him. Nikamwambia but take time. Anafanya nini? Kaspasho engineering. Nikajua huyu amenokikaria. Sio chali. Ako which year? 4th year. Nikajiuliza kwa roho, university kuna kitu inaitwa kuachua na fresha. So nikanyamaza tu. Huyu amekuachuliwa. Tukapoa nikamwambia, she was called Lucy, she could take care and go slow. So many men go slow. If you found something, unajua labda alikuwa ameambiwa ukifika university you can have those boyfriends.
Yes.
Labda.
Now you're at liberty.
You see,
over 18.
You're liberty. So amekuja hapa hivi over 18 and I decided to explore. And the girl journeyed together. Nikamwambia anytime you have a problem just come there St. Paul. Tukapoa. Akafika second year term 2. Wanaita 2.2. Tukamit na my friend Lucy, nikamwambia maisha yanaendeleaje? Iko poa nini? Nikamwambia chali yako anaendeleaje? Wanaume ni umbwa. Wanaume ni wale. So the game changes. So people are being told, but sometimes we are ignorance to get the truth.
Matters of the heart. How can you make Lucy not fall in love? How can she control herself from falling in love? You know,
but after the consequences, then wanaume now changes to be so different animals. Gospel. Wanaume ni wale.
Nani wale?
Maliza
ni wale Maisha. I mean, I guess, you know, at first
mindset.
we did not know how to tackle this, but here we are. And it looks like there's more to touch on a Pandora's box that we've opened. But on that very sweet moment, let's leave it at that. It's for you to figure out what next. It's for you to figure out the right standards of living